So we're going to talk about some things that I'm going to be looking for when I'm evaluating your essay. I'm going to be typing them as we go, so they might not be in the best order, but I just want to remind you of a few things. You are going to see my atrocious typing skills. I cheated my way through typing class in grade 10, and I've regretted it every day of my life since, so please don't judge. So first and foremost, essay must be no more than 1,000 words. Okay, so that's what you're going for. Of course, you can be 20 over, 30 over, 20 under, 30 under, but 1,000 words because, as I've told many of you, an academic writing skill is to be able to edit your own work. Okay, and I really feel the more you write, the more room for error. So your synthesis papers were 500. This is twice as much. Okay, literary tense. If you don't know what that means that when you write about literature, you need to write in the present tense as if you are experiencing the literature now. So not Trevor did, not Gatsby had, Trevor does, Gatsby has. Everything's in the present tense as if you're experiencing it right now. Okay. People are asking about paragraphs. I would think you would need 3 or 4 body paragraphs for 1,000 words. Any less than that, and those will be massive paragraphs. And remember, when you're thinking about paragraphs, it needs to be one topic, right? So don't try to jam everything into that. I do want you to follow point, proof, explain, which means that you're going to make a claim. So you're going to claim something about your theme. You're going to prove it. And how are you going to prove that? You're going to prove that with a quotation, right? And then you're going to explain how that quotation supports your proof and your point, which supports your thesis. Okay, so I want to see point, proof, explain with all of your pieces. If you can't explain why you've used that quotation, then you can't use that quotation. Okay, how about transitions? I'm going to be looking for some transitional words between sentences, between paragraphs, things that will help your writing flow. Okay, so of course we're going to be doing this in MLA, which stands for the Modern Language Association. That's what most English, I haven't met an English class in 27 years that doesn't follow MLA. So if you don't know what that is or how to format or cite, you need to go to the MLA website, or you can go to Purdue University. That's a really good one as well. They have the online writing lab. So when I talk about formatting and citing, that's two different things. So formatting means, what font should you be using? How big should your font be? Okay? What is your spacing? What should you have a title page? No, I can tell you that right now. Okay? So what should you have in the top left-hand corner for an MLA? And citing means the in-text citation and the work cited at the end. You're only going to have one work cited because you're only using the text itself. So things must be in MLA format. You need to look for things. I'm going to be looking for things that we've covered in, there's my bad typing, in the course. Okay, things like diction, sentence fluency, conventions, tone, organization, all of those things I'm going to be looking to see that you're applying these writing lessons. Okay, so looking at not only what you say, but how you say it and how you organize. We're coming up to the final exam too, so you'll certainly be seeing all of this again, okay, when we come to it. As far as quotations, does every claim have to have a quotation? For sure it does, okay? So I'm going to challenge you to use only partial quotations. And why I'm asking you to do this is because I've noticed in the last couple weeks that many of you are air bombing your quotations into your writing. So instead of having really subtle lead-ins and transitions to the author's words from your words, you are ending your words with a period and then starting the author's words with quotation marks, then with another period at the end, and then your words. So it's very staccato, it's very abrupt. So we want to see that things can flow. So you need to make sure that you have some partial quotations in there. So use your words to lead into the quotation, or use the quotation at the beginning and end with your words. So I'd like to see some evidence of that as we go through this. So as far as paragraphing, you can sort of use the block method, which means that instead of indenting, you can just leave a space and then shift down to the next paragraph. Okay. Oh, a title. See, I told you this was going to be out of order. This I have struggled with you guys for the last two synthesis papers, is that some of you don't use a title. Others put Synthesis Paper 3 as your title. I want to see something original. Some of you use the name of the novel, which is a little bit of plagiarism because that title's already been taken. So I do have to read through your essay, and I will read through your essay regardless if you have a title or not. But if you have something that's intriguing, all the better, right? So I can read through that and be a little bit more excited as I go through. I'm just trying to think of what else as we're going through here. And of course, we're looking for evidence of strong proofreading, right? Hopefully your peers have been giving you some suggestions, and a lot of you are very good at doing this yourself as well. But, at the 3U level, I would expect that you would know how to that you should capitalize the author's name. I expect that you know that contractions are a no-no in formal writing. Okay? So you should be writing, instead of weren't, were not. Okay? First person, I'm kind of up in the air about this. I, as a general rule, do not allow kids to write in the first person for formal academic papers. But because we've been doing this with the synthesis papers, I feel like that might be a little bit hypocritical at this time. So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, seriously, come on. If you've written the first person, you've used I here and there, I think I'll be okay with this because that's what the synthesis papers have been modeling, right? But if you don't, that's also acceptable. Okay, so those are some of the things that I will be looking for. I'm trying to think of what else. And obviously, overall, I'm looking for an understanding of your theme, and that's something you need to consider early in the process, right? That you're not going to be writing something that everybody else has written about. It's going to be original and it's going to be analytical. Okay, so I don't want to see any plot summary in your paper. I've read all of these novels. I've only read Forgive Me, Leonard Peacock once, but I've read the others multiple, and I've taught 3 to 5 of them many, many times. So you don't need to tell me who Hassan's son is. You don't need to tell me what happens at Gatsby's party. You don't need to tell me what Herr Silverman said to Leonard, whatever it is. So I know all those details, right? So that's a good thing. That brings me to another point, that you need to consider your audience. Okay? Always consider your audience. So do I need to include that? Is that vital to the piece? And does my audience need to know that? Okay, will they understand without it? And if I do, then you don't need to include it in there. So no plot summary. Consider your audience when you're deciding on the details. And I'm looking for some strong analysis. Okay, and then there's this word that I know we don't like, but the synthesis as well. So can you bring all these ideas together? Because this is the end of the unit. You've reached the end of your novel. Can you synthesize that information? Can you make some bold comments, and can you support those comments? So there's a lot for you to think about as you go through this, but that's why it is a process. And also, what you need to submit is you need to submit your outline. You need to submit a rough draft from a peer. And then you need to submit also a rough draft showing that you have returned to that. Is that horrible typing again? You've returned to the rough draft, and this can be before or after your peer goes over it, and of course then a final copy. So it's up to you whether you want to submit that all in one document or you want to submit several. But I do want you, I've set it up so you can see the Turnitin report, right? We've had a few incidents here and there with the Turnitin report indicating things that are troubling, a little bit problematic, but I want you to make sure you can see the Turnitin. So you need to go in and you need to look at the Turnitin report and see if there's anything suspicious going on there. Anything that's quoted will probably be highlighted by Turnitin because it's part of the text. So make sure you have a look at that as well. Okay, so I think those are just a few things, well, more than a few things that I'm looking for here. So I want us to be really clear what is expected for your essay. You're at the 3U level, you've done this before, whether it's an English class or history class, okay? So it shouldn't be anything that's too new to you. And I'm sure I have forgotten a thing or two here, but make sure you're reading through the content, because I really feel like with the synthesis paper, the one about language, the power of language, a lot of us didn't read that content because we wrote out something entirely different. So make sure this time you're on top of things, okay? But I look forward to them, and I hope you look forward to ending this unit as well. Thanks.